But spoke English, and she could only talk Norwegian. But they took care of that during. The parents says, well, that's it. Now we're going to talk English at home. So the kids learned English.
Yeah.
And therefore we didn't learn Norwegian.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have spoke both.
Could have.
They should have, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think our parents did, but we were not included in the Norwegian
yeah.
language part of it at all. No.
I think people now are better at that.
Yeah.
They keep the regular language and then also learn English. I think that's a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom couldn't speak English when she went to school.
Was that right?
Mm-mm.
And that language was
German.
German.
Yep. Kind of the same.
Did a lot of people in the area keep it up?
Yeah, for quite a while.
No.
Yeah.
I guess parents did, especially I think, I think he talked Norwegian to a lot of friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the Gatsky bunch.
You keep
Or
calling
better
you
in
keep calling them
Norwegian.
Gatsky Bunch. Why do you call them Gatsky Bunch?
Well, because they were in that part of the county,
Yeah. Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
But I think they spoke Norwegian more.
Yeah.
I think they did.
Just.
Because there were more old timers there too,
Yeah.
you know. I think some of the old timers couldn't speak English at all.
Yeah.
SB. I remember the first time I saw people have bifocals, but then at that time they had an insert,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the lens. Special lens, separate, you know,
Mm-hmm.
framed in with the regular lens.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But some of the old people over there had that.
Oh yeah. I don't know for a lot of them, but some of them did. You know. Well, they couldn't all read anyway, you know.
What do you mean they couldn't all read?
A lot of them couldn't.
Couldn't read English or couldn't read
Couldn't
at all?
read English.
Oh,
Probably they couldn't read Norwegian either, I don't know.
really?
Well, they weren't all educated when they came over.
But your father and mother both read, right?
Yeah. My dad, well, of course, my mother was born in this country.
Yeah.
My dad, he could read and he could write. You know, that's why he was always voted in as town clerk.
Because he could read. Because he could read and write.
He could read and write. He could fill out the reports and read the reports.
Yeah. Huh.
And then my mother gets stuck with the downboard's lunch.
Yeah. Feed them lunch.
And they'd sit around for the noon meal, and then they just have to hang in long enough for afternoon coffee.
Well, I heard she was a good cook.
She was a good cook. Well, she learned cooking in the hotel in Grand Forks.
Before she was married.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. She got a job in a kitchen, and they cooked good meals because that was a railroad stopover for the NP at that time. And you know, at that time, business people traveled by train. So there's a lot of good customers for food at that motel or hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she learned a lot about cooking. They had three full meals a day for the travelers.
So what do you think the hotel was like by today's standard? They probably had a room with a bathroom down the hall, or they have an outhouse out back.
I don't think those buildings are very fancy.
Yeah.
I don't think they were. But the traveling men, they travel by train.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they carried their goods with them. like the Raleigh man, when he'd come to the farm, he'd have that big suitcase, he'd open it out like that, you know. And then we'd see all the trays and all the goodies in it, you know.
What's a Raleigh man?
Spices, like
Oh, spices.
Watkins.
Okay.
Are you familiar with
Yep,
Watkins?
yep.
Same
Yep,
thing.
we had a Watkins man. I had never heard of Raleigh before.
Yeah, Raleigh, yeah.
Hmm.
And then it was all over. He'd reach in his pocket, pull out a few packs of gum.
Hmm.
We all waited for that. Yeah, there's all kinds of spices, seasonings,
Mhm. Hmm.
salve, ointment, liniment.
Well, it's just like Watkins then.
Yeah, yeah.
Liniment?
Liniment.
Liniment?
What's that?
Something you
Sore
got an
joints
owie?
or something?
get an owie, you rub it on.
Huh. Hmm.
I suppose it's mostly alcohol, right? Something like that, I
Yeah.
think. I don't know.
Remember Mercurochrome?
Mhm.
Well, yeah, that was red. That
That's
was
red.
for cuts.
Yeah,
Like iodine.
right.
Didn't sting as much as iodine.
Yeah,
Iodine stung a lot more.
yeah.
Mercurochrome.
Yeah.
So your dad, so you had to learn how to read English,
Yeah, I
right?
did.
How old was he when he came here? Like 20?
21, I think.
21.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you know, a lot of old timers that were like in neighborhood, a lot of them couldn't read English, couldn't write.
Hmm.
No.
How did you learn how to read English? Just did, huh?
Just had no way to learn.
So he just.
Didn't want to learn, for one thing, probably.
No, I meant your dad learned it. I wonder how he learned.
Well, I guess he was interested in learning,
Sure.
you know. And then he had sisters here,
Yeah.
and they could talk English real good,
Yeah.
and they were educated. They were nurses. I think all of them were nurses, you know.
Nurses.
So they went to school when they got here?
Yeah,
Where'd they go to school?
I don't know where they learned it. I don't know.
What sisters did he have here?
But my dad could write, but like the mother said, he writes with a Norwegian accent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Remember seeing his postcards.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
So,
and
you know, a lot of those people had the ability, but they didn't do anything about it.
yeah.
You know.
This was real
Just-
phonetic. It was phonetic, Norwegian phonetic spelling.
Yeah, that's kind
Yeah.
of.
And his writing was about as bad as Dad's was.
Your dad has good writing.
You can't read Dad's writing.
Oh,
What do you mean?
I thought your dad had beautiful writing. Printing. He also
I could.
printed. Yeah, I thought he had good writing.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't very important, they'd scribble it. Yeah. Go through it real fast.
Yeah. We always used it
Well, I
as.
could write pretty good because I remember at Prudential. Sometimes those guys that were college graduates, if they had an important paper, you know, they wanted me to do the writing. So I did,
Really?
yeah. Adding columns. You know, we didn't have, well, they had the adding machines, those old ones, you
Mm-hmm.
push buttons to pull a lever, you know. And a lot of times, those guys couldn't add where the hoot.
They couldn't add. Well, you could always add.
They could always add,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
One of the our agents, Dean Field, he was an old timer. Now his son is at the home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we eat together.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. He's a nice old gentleman, proper,
Mm-hmm.
you know. He belonged to the Masons, and Oh, let's see, what else? Some other important thing.
So he was older when you started.
Oh, yeah. His sons and were probably about the same age.
Oh, okay.
And the one of them now is at the home,
Yep.
Bob Field.
How did you figure that one out?
Well, the name was there,
A lot of fields, though.
probably. Well, I asked him, sure enough, Dean Field was his father.
Huh.
And Dean Field was kind of a proper guy, well educated. Everything was pretty proper with him.
Where were they from?
St. Paul, Minneapolis.
Okay.
Yeah. Minnesotans. Where the family came from originally, I don't know. Yeah. So he's right even now today. I imagine he's around 90.
Okay.
He's kind of, kind of proper.
Yeah.
Like he had
His
that,
dad.
like he had that training, They lived in Highland Park.
Oh, nice.
That's where they grew up, Highland Park.
That was one of the nicer neighborhoods.
And,
Highland Park.
That's in St. Paul.
Yeah.
it's kind of a snooty neighborhood.
Oh, that's a really nice neighborhood. Is that like,
Yeah.
What?
isn't that near where Binker lived in
Yeah.
by Highland Park?
Yeah.
Al lives in Highland Park.
Yep. He's got a tiny house in Highland Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess he got two houses.
Does he?
They got a big house somewhere close by.
Yeah.
His wife lives in that. And he lives in the little house.
So,
From what I hear.
I hadn't heard that. I got to get a hold of him. I've not seen him in a while. So, anyways, your mom she read.
Oh, yeah.
She not reading
Yeah,
right.
she had good handwriting.
Yeah.
She could read. Yeah.
She went to school here, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, she was born here.
But you're still saying that there's people who lived there that couldn't read and write.
The what?
You said that there were still some people who lived in your community who couldn't read and
Oh,
write.
yeah. Yeah.
Immigrants.
Well, like my mother, she grew up in Grand Forks or Crookston. Grand Forks, North Dakota, or Crookston.
Yeah.
And some in Thief River Falls, too. But she worked with people that, I don't know if they sent her to school or anything like that, but being with those kind of people, you learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she could write real good. Good handwriting.
So, your dad had sisters who lived in the area who got married, whatever. So, there's still some of those relatives around somewhere.
Well, they scattered pretty much. Some of them went to Canada, lived up at the Flin Flon, know where that is?
I've heard of it.
Way up.
Yeah,
I think it's mining
yeah.
in that area. And then some went to California,
Yeah.
one went to Idaho. But they all learned English quite well.
And they're all nurses.
Yeah, they went to school. They lived in Thief River Falls, Crookston, Grand Forks,
Yeah,
in that general area.
sure.
And why did they come here?
Well, those people were homesteaders. My mother was a homesteader. Her and her father homesteaded. And then Myrtle, she wound up in Goodridge. And I don't know, they had a terrible life there. And then one went to Idaho. Two of them went to California. I think two of them. And then three of them stayed in Duluth and Superior.
How many
They
sisters?
married and their husbands were all engineers on the NP.
How many sisters were there?
But
How many sisters were there that came over? That's a big plane there, isn't it?
what is that?
I can't see.
Hear it.
Here it comes down.
How many sisters was he? Seven or eight, I think.
Wow. They all came over from Norway.
No, they were born here.
Oh, your moms.
The
Your
moms.
moms. Yeah.
They're born here.
Why did your dad's sisters come over here?
Well, the one of them got married. I'm trying to think which one that was, first one. And then, of course, they want to get out of the country, I guess. Go to a new country
'Cause
where
it's
there's
so
a lot of
bad.
money and jobs and
Mm.
life was great, you know. Didn't always turn out that way, but most of them did pretty good.
And then they talked to your dad and told him to come too, because
Yeah.
life must have been
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So it started.
And then did he have some that stayed there?
He had one.
Family
He had one
stayed?
sister that
One
stayed.
sister. One
sister
sister.
stayed there.
And the one, their farm was near Gatsky,
Yeah.
near the cemetery.
Which one? Which one? Which one?
That would have been, Mabel, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think her name is Mabel.
So does his three sisters stay nearby? Mabel was near Gatsky.
Gatsky. And then the one went to Goodrich,
Mhm.
and married.
She didn't have a good life, you said.
No, Goodrich area. And then in Myrtle, they both started off going to California. And they went through the Dakotas into Montana. And then somehow or other they got held up there. And then Nan met her husband, future husband. So they went to Idaho. And then Judith continued,
Yeah.
wound up in California.
Yeah.
And then
That's on your dad's side. Your
Yeah.
dad's sisters.
no. No, mother's sisters.
Right. Okay. But we're talking about your dad's sisters here.
Okay.
How many sisters were there here that came over?
3, I believe.
3.
The one settled in Gatsky,
Yeah.
and the one went to up in Canada, and one of them, I think, wound up in Oregon.
In Oregon.
Yeah.
So one stayed in Gatsky. One went way up into Canada for whatever reason. And how did one end up in Oregon?
Well, and Jude now, she wound up in Idaho,
Yeah. But that's your mom's side, I thought.
mother's side. Oh, yeah.
You're
Yeah.
talking to your dad's
Oh,
side.
dad's side. One in Gatsky.
Yeah.
Let me think. No, the ones that went to Canada were on my mother's side.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think he had 3 sisters here.
Yeah.
I think one died at a young age
Over here.
over here.
Okay. So now that's 2.
And I think the others went into nursing.
Yep.
I think that was it.
Yep. And where did they go? After they got their nursing thing.
Well, I wasn't very old at that time, so I don't remember them too well.
Yeah.
Just a minute. Hello? Hi.